beautiful type of Jesus. He saw something in that sheep that was still redeemable. Isn't that the kind of Christ that we serve? No matter how wasted our lives, no matter how far gone we seem to be, Jesus looks down. He doesn't see where we are at, but he always views us as to our potential, as to where we can go and what we can become. Else none of us would be here today. Terry's taking courses at Nazarene Bible College, and he's learning a lot about the teaching of the Bible. And the one thing that we firmly believe is that no matter how devoured one's life is, given the fact that we are creations of God, there is a spark there. We are never so totally depraved. But what there is a spark, if touched by grace, can ignite the life and redeem the life and revolutionize the life and bring that devoured sheep back in a wonderful and miraculous way. As long as you have an ear to hear and a leg to stand on, it doesn't matter how much of one's life the enemy has devoured. God can redeem. It's not in what you've lost. It's in what you have left. There are people here today who had a vision one time and a dream. I trust that many of you are still holding on to your vision and still holding on to your dreams. But I'm also realistic enough to know that over time we lose sight of a vision as we go through difficult times, as we are faced with troubles, as we are almost overwhelmed by the issues of life. One day we wake up and we say, oh my, back there I had a dream, back there I had a vision. And years now have passed. I can't believe that the years have passed so quickly. But it's not as vivid and it's not as real to me as it was back there before I went through all of these things in life. But if you have, and you can remember an unforgettable dream, and you knew that that dream and that vision came from God, I want to urge you to go back to it and to pray and to seek God's face until it becomes real to you again, until it becomes a burning desire and compulsion in your heart and life to move forward and see that dream to pass. If you knew it was from God in the beginning, God does not change. We changed. God did not say, forget it. We said, it got past me. God is saying, go back, write it down, and remember, I gave it to you, and I still want to work through you. And so that's encouraging to those of us who are a little more up in years, isn't it, Ken? That God can still work, Buzz, that God can still work through us. But if you're a younger person today, which most of you are, except me and Wayman and Ken and Buzz, Carl's just right there. But if you're a younger person, pray until God gives you a vision. Let it be said of you what was said of Joseph when his brothers saw him coming. They said, well, here comes the dreamer. You can be called worse things. You can be called worse things than a dreamer or a visionary. Live with your head in heaven and your heart right with God, and God will continue to reveal things to you. But I like this verse in Amos 3:12 because it's all that we believe about the plan of salvation, isn't it? We believe that though sin has gone deep into the life and has destroyed and devoured a lot of the good things in life, that the blood of Jesus goes down deeper. And he can reach to the deepest depths, and through grace and forgiveness, raise up that lost sheep and restore it to what he would have it to be. Story of Joseph here talks to us about the power of a dream. Joseph went through all types of things. He was in prison 13 years. His father and Jacob had many wives, and Joseph was the son that one of his wives gave birth to when Jacob was up in years. And so he was somewhat favored by Joseph. He was given a coat of many colors. In other words, whereas the brothers probably had a gray or a beige or a black coat on, and the customary coat was came down about this far. Joseph was given a coat of many colors. I don't know what the colors were. Might have been some type of psychedelic color. But he wore a coat of honor because it came down to his ankles. And so you could see why the brothers would be jealous. You could see where, well, if you grew up in a home where your parent or parents showed favoritism to one of or other of the children, then you know how they felt, don't you? You know, I've always encouraged, and I just say this again, parents, be the same to all of your children. Love them the same. Uplift them and support them in the same way. But Joseph started having dreams when he was 17 years of age. And it was his dreams and the favor of his father that caused him, as I said, to get on the outs with his brothers. And so they were going to just slay him, and then they decided, no, we'll throw him in a pit. And then when the caravan comes by, we'll take just about anything for him, and we'll sell him into Egyptian slavery. And you know the story. They did. Now, when you think about the story of Joseph and how God worked in and through his life and what God brought to bear, the wonders he brought to bear through his life, you say, well, you know, that's a story in the Bible way back in the book of Genesis. That's like light years away from my life and my personal experiences. I'm living in the 21st century. But you know what? You and I probably will have to pass some of the same tests as Joseph did if we ever see our dreams and our visions come to pass. Before you can step forward to claim the dream God is giving to you, you need to understand what favor is. Remember, a couple of weeks ago, I went around and I patted some of you on the shoulder, and I said, you're my favorite, you're my favorite, and you're my favorite. And Terry over here, he says, well, what about me? Well, Terry, you're one of our favorites. Everybody's a favorite. But when you find favor, the word favor in the Bible is interpreted to mean God's grace. When God's favor is upon you, God's grace is upon you. And it's because of God's favor upon your life that he can take all kinds of things and cause them to work together for good. God's favor upon your life means that he has called you and placed you on the front line. Joseph was blessed with favor, and everybody knew about it. Everybody knew about it. And when God is favoring you, others will sense there's something different about you that God is working in and through your life. One of the, shouldn't talk about myself. Remember I said, Terry, you're going to find this out. Good preachers don't use themselves as illustrations, but I can get away with it. But I had a black man who was my regional manager at St. Paul Federal Bank. And we were in his office one day, and he said something that I never forgot, and I hadn't really thought about it all that much. He said, you know, Dave, he said, you're so blessed by God because God has enabled you to be successful in two areas of life. He's enabled you to be successful in the business world.